All right, it is Friday the 27th, bit of an overcast, somewhat rainy day here in New York, although it seems like maybe most of that rain is past. Let's go for a ride, see if we can go for a ride across 38th and 39th Street from the Javits Center, which I'm coming right up on here. I'll show you in a second. You go across 38th and 39th, come back on 39th. This is the Javits Center over here on the side. Now we got a nice little box in the middle of the street. All right. So we're going to turn on 38th here. Enjoy this short stretch of bike lane, which should have been done about 2 or 3 years ago, but the last 200 feet or so here has been a struggle for DOT to finish. Really, quality of the street here is pretty poor. Hopefully they'll repave it, but they keep telling me it's gonna happen. Last check, they said it would happen this year. So there's going to be a stretch up here once we pass 8th Avenue that they're going to widen, and in theory they're going to finish the green paint at that time, and we'll see. So this is 10th Ave here, my new favorite bike lane. I'll turn the camera a little bit so you can see it. Good double wide, you can see 2 cyclists down there easily riding next to each other. No problem. All right. Sometimes I feel like I can spot illegally parked cars a mile away. There is a parking lane here, but it's not where these cars are. These cars are all parked in the buffer, which unfortunately puts the door zone right into the bike lane. If any of them open a door there, they'll easily door a cyclist. No good. Of course, this stretch, there is no parking. Those are the joys we live with. Now we're coming up on 9th Avenue here. 8th and 9th Avenue have some of the oldest protected bike lanes. They've seen a bunch of changes since they were first installed, starting in 2008. They get a lot of heavy use. In this stretch right here, I'll turn the camera. DOT is going to come back this year and add a sidewalk extension on the east side and take away a lane of traffic, so it's only 3 lanes. Should be nice. Can navigate the construction site here. I feel like the camera's tilted down a little bit. Maybe I'll stop and adjust. Or maybe not. Feels like slalom's going through here sometimes on a cargo bike, where you have to take the turns a little bit wide. So now we're coming up on 8th Avenue. Everything after 8th Avenue, DOT's proposed widening the bike lane, which, as we can see, would be pretty nice. You notice here, turning cars have a delayed red, which is nice. Need more of that in the city. Car that doesn't belong. One of the fun things about New York, you always got to be ready for something to happen. So we're coming up on 7th Avenue. If you're not familiar with the geography of Manhattan, just to our left, a couple blocks up, is Times Square on 42nd Street. This stretch of 7th Avenue just got a bike lane last year. Turn the camera here. Get a good picture as we go across. Nice bike lane. Flip the camera around. We're coming up on Broadway. Still has cars in some stretches of it. Section here is what DOT calls a shared street. Why they still have cars on that block, I don't know. Really, there's no need for it. Good examples where you can see this street could easily use a little bit more space in the bike lane. Lots of conflict at intersections. Wish they would build out the pedestrian islands, but pedestrians cross past the cycle lane would reduce a lot of the conflict. As always, tomorrow. A little bit of an uphill stretch. Now we're crossing 5th Avenue. You'll see DOT repaved this last year. Never put down any new markings. They might say some of that was unintentional to set the stage for widening the bike lane this year, but cycle lane markings are a safety feature. They're not optional. Here we are, like, remarked a driveway, nothing else. A section that didn't get paved because of restaurant seats. Then back to repaved and no mark. Just doesn't make for a good protected bike lane when you got stuff like this. Poor quality project management is really what it is. Let me come up here to Uber driver in the bike lane. And another one. So I'm going to stop and take a photo here. You can enjoy a ticket later. Park in there. Truck, on the other hand, our city council has been stalling a bill that would have let those drivers get a ticket when a civilian encounters them doing something hazardous like parking in a bike lane. We'll see. Eventually, we'll get enough people elected that care about safety on the streets to get that bill passed, or to get the city to start ticketing them on their own. Be happy to not do it as a second job. Benefit of hills is always the downhill stretch. So we're coming up right by the Queens Midtown Tunnel. We're going to come up on First Avenue here in a few minutes, and I'll flip around to 39th Street. More vehicles where they shouldn't be. Really, some people might see these vehicles as the problem. Really, the problem is on the opposite side of the street where there's free parking or unenforced parking, which is where the truck should be. All these cars don't belong here.
Running a restaurant or your business from home. What you didn't get into your business for, we thank you. But luckily, Wells Fargo offers business checking, payments, and lending all in one place.
See these carload trailers throughout the city. Company Whole Foods contracts with to do their deliveries uses these, which is great to see. Super efficient. Bike lanes aren't big enough, but it's better than trucks rolling through the city. We're going to turn left here. This is First Avenue. We'll go up one block and we'll loop all the way around. All right. Straight ahead a couple blocks. This bike lane continues through the First Ave tunnel, right underneath of where, or sort of in front of / underneath where the United Nations building is. But we're going to turn here. See if we can take a nice ride back across without too many problems. Pretty nice weather for February out. If you follow New York City transportation topics on the legislation side much, there are two big pushes happening right now. One is around universal daylighting, and the other one is around what has been dubbed super speeders, essentially people that have been caught speeding more times than you can count. On the universal daylighting side, there's been a push to have legislation that would essentially restrict parking within 20 feet of a crosswalk or stop sign anywhere in the city, which seems like a pretty simple bill. It's already a statewide law, except the law, of course, excludes New York City. And people have been saying enough is enough. You don't need any parking 20 feet from a crosswalk, 20 feet from a stop sign. So roughly, I think it's 22 of New York City's 50 community boards have passed resolutions calling for that bill to pass at either a city or a state. Not quite a majority co-sponsoring either bill yet. As you can imagine, everybody closer to the center of the city co-sponsors, and everybody further out where people believe everyone is car dependent, even though not everyone is, those legislators don't co-sponsor. They'd probably vote for it if push came to shove, but council speaker is from those areas and has not shown interest in moving the bill. So we'll see. So that's one. Second bill is in the state for requiring, heads up. Second bill in the state is to say that people that have been caught speeding repeatedly have to have their vehicle modified to have some sort of speed control. And this is essentially the same thing you think of someone caught driving under the influence multiple times will have to have an ignition lock. This is the same idea, but for speeding. Another common sense bill. Unfortunately, federal government has not allowed our safety regulations around vehicles to keep up with what they should have. So many vehicle manufacturers that sell vehicles overseas already have this technology. It's just not included here in the States, not turned on. So all we need to do is require it. That should happen. Flip it around, you can see congestion pricing doesn't necessarily mean no traffic, even though by and large it's far less traffic. Good crowd of taxis headed to Grand Central for people to get out of the city on the train. This is evening rush hour. I'll try to point out bike lane quality issues while we're going along. This is a quote-unquote protected bike lane. Used to have flex posts. All the flex posts were destroyed by drivers and never got replaced. So now it's just bike lane. Okay, crossing Madison. Not a very smooth block. Hopefully that's not too choppy on the video. Crossing back over 5th Avenue. Now that we cross Fifth Avenue, it's a little bit of a downhill stretch all the way back down to the Javits Center. So 38th and 39th were installed several years ago. Somehow DOT has still not finished installing a bike lane on this block. You see these drivers here. Not really a bike lane on paper, that's a bike lane. In reality, this is just all unfinished. There used to be restaurants here during COVID. I had restaurant seats, and if you don't get it the first time, you don't get it ever, I guess. Hopefully, as they expand the bike lane, which was supposed to happen last year, if that happens this year as expected, finally get a bike lane on this block that's usable. If I was someone who felt like I really wanted a protected bike lane to be safe, and that block wasn't an option, sadly, the next available westbound bike lane, we're on 39th, is all the way up on 55th Street or south to 29th Street. Neither are short detours on the bike. Drivers, of course, get every single crosstown street. Cyclists, very, very few options. Let's come up on Broadway here. I'll turn the camera to the right. You see this whole section is pedestrianized. Just that one block. Really so many calls for DOT to remove cars from the whole avenue from Central Park all the way down to Union Square. There's no reason for cars on any of it unless a block has a garage, but there's no need for through traffic. Seems like the city internally really can't come to an agreement on that. Even though the writing's on the wall, it's a matter of when we get a progressive mayor that will do it. Not if. So going back down, back towards Ave. Heads up. Heads up. Thank you. Always appreciate other pedestrians that call people out. You're walking in the bike lane. Don't know if that'll come through on video or not. And I'm suddenly hungry. This pizza place smells good. Upside Pizza, which I actually have not been to. I will have to check it out sometime. It's 5 o'clock and I could eat a slice. It smells really good. Flip the camera around to the other side. You can see the Port Authority building up there, about to undergo a good 6 or 7 years of rebuild, which will involve temporary buildings, shuffling it around. Who knows if it'll ever finish. But that's what's supposed to happen. This is another block with just terrible conditions on the pavement. I'm not sure when it's slated to be repaved. Hopefully it's soon. All right. Just coming back up on 9th. Green just disappears. Hear my bike rattling around. somebody who I have a deadline to pay. Got a police vehicle going the wrong way. Surprisingly, not with siren on. Oh, arresting somebody, a pair of people over there. That's why. All right. Pavement's in better condition on this block, but every bus driver thinks that buffer is where they should park, not over on the outside lane. It's on the list of things. No enforcement, might as well not have lines. If you just let people park wherever. Actually, I'm gonna pull it off here. I'm not gonna go down this last block. I'm gonna turn off here on 10th. And we'll call that a wrap. Thank you for riding. Until next time.